I have an ego.
Can you blame me? Every guy in their 20s wants to have the biggest dick in the room. We want to be able to flex something that others don't have. We want to feel like the man, which is why we're so competitive with one another in the most stupid ways possible.
Rip it, baby, rip it!
I ain't stupid though.
Oh, he's put him in a cradle! Oh, shit! Oh, shit!
For the most part, at least. But what is ego? I can't have a video talking about it without defining it first. I ain't stupid. Bro, what do you point? Yo, cut that out. You're gonna cut that out, right? It wasn't even my fault. It wasn't, I didn't even see it. The dictionary says it's a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. Psychology says it's the part of the mind that mediates between the conscious and the unconscious and is responsible for reality testing. Basically, it's your self-worth or what you value yourself for. But what's your ego surrounded by? Is it pride? Is it your sense of validation? Or is it being right all the time? And most people's ego is here, or rather, the avoidance of being wrong and looking like a fool. Like most people, I
surrounded my ego with intelligence or being right all the time. And I feel like that's a result of being a gifted kid. Because growing up, I was always told that I'm years beyond my age. And it showed because a lot of the curriculum in school would be way too easy for me. Most of what was taught was almost intuitive, and I would dead ass sleep in class because of how boring it was. And that gave me a little bit of a pseudo God complex because I didn't have to work for the results that I got and therefore thought I was inherently special, which I wasn't.
I was praised for being slightly better than average, academically speaking, and began to tie my ego around that subconsciously. But surrounding your ego with having to be right 100% of the time is incredibly fragile because you won't be right all the time. It's impossible. I don't give a fuck who you are. You're not built different. And that became an insecurity of mine. Like whenever I was wrong at something, I wouldn't be able to admit it. And I'd be in denial, like some sort of defense mechanism to protect my self-worth. Because in my eyes at the time, if I admitted I was wrong, my value would diminish. I would be the clown. All right, so last year I was flirting with depression. I feel like I say this in every video. And during this period, I would talk mad shit. Keep in mind, this was also around the time when everyone was on the entrepreneur hype train, and I ate that shit up because I was in a vulnerable state, and it's what I clung to for a sense of identity since I was going through a severe burnout phase and was losing mine. Luckily though, after sifting through the bullshit, I found genuine people who wanted to genuinely help without the corny entrepreneur angle. But before then, I began a business and invested 3 racks into it, believing I could make something out of it. Yeah, I know. Now I know 3K ain't a lot to a lot of you guys, but to me, I was basically betting on this with the amount of money I was saving up for a minute. But I was biting off more than I could chew because I was working full-time and went to school full-time. I had too much on my plate to succeed, and I failed completely. I fell on my face, and I didn't want to take the L for the longest time because it would hurt my ego. And as a result, it led to a more extreme burnout. I had to admit to myself that I was just average, that I actually sucked at a lot of the things I thought I was good at because my ego didn't let me admit that. I didn't want to stare at my inadequacies and look like the fool who made a mistake and failed. But I was so focused on how I would be perceived that it actually affected how I was perceived. Ironic, huh? If I had avoided focusing on that from the get-go, then I would have been able to bounce back much quicker. I would talk about doing this and doing that because it's the only thing I could do. But when it came down to taking action, I just sat on my ass and played video games. Sound familiar? I had to admit to myself that I failed, that my life was going downhill, which I didn't want to admit. And I didn't for the longest time, which only dug a deeper hole for myself. And even though it fucking sucks, and trust me, I know how much it fucking sucks, admitting and taking an L that big, if you don't admit that shit to yourself, you're living a lie. The truth will set you free, and even though it's gonna hurt like a motherfucker, it's better to fix the issue now rather than later when it gets beyond your control. Because an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of a cure. It's always better to be proactive than it is to be reactive. And once you start doing, you start moving. I spent a little bit of time here when I completely let go of my ego, or at least I thought I did, because it was holding me back and I didn't want to hold myself back anymore. And it was refreshing. It helped me center myself and filter out the bullshit, but it quickly got boring. Like, this is it. I couldn't completely let go of my ambitiousness. And maybe that's just me, but I always wanted something more. Sure, you can blame it on the American mindset that I've adopted, but I think it runs deeper than that. I spent time developing this fire inside of me, and for me to attempt to put it out would be going against what I built. I will never let go of my dreams. My ambition mixed with my ego will never allow me to, especially when I have once before. It keeps me moving forward so I can feast. I'm hungry for knowledge and I don't plan on skipping no meals. In letting go of my ego, a lot of things became trivial to me, but there's things that can't become trivial or else there's no forward momentum. Like money, for example. If you don't become financially confident and independent, you can't fuel your dreams and someone else will. It's a little superficial, yeah, but to disregard it would be shooting yourself in the leg. You'd be holding yourself back, which is what I did when I believed money was the root of all evil, until I got my first real job at 16 and took my homies to a buffet, which made me feel like the man. And that's when it clicks to me that
we need our egos. And not in the sense of, oh,
the world revolves around me. I'm simply better than you. I love attention. I'm a Pisces and everyone knows Pisces are the baddest bitches out there. Everyone has to be thinking about me. Me. Bro, it's part of the skit. Why are you running? It's part of the skit. But in the sense that I'm aware of who I am and want the best for myself, and I'm gonna chase that. That's when surrounding your ego with being a learner comes into play. Because I want to be the best, not inherently, but because I put in the work no one would even think of doing. So it can look like magic.
I got loyalty inside my DNA. Cocaine quarter piece, got war and pieces.
Michael Jordan is a solidified GOAT because he made it look easy. People would rather believe that it was God-given, a gift that's innate, or that he just got lucky than for them to consider the amount of insane work he subjected himself to. Same goes for Messi and Ronaldo. They're at the top because they put in the work no one else would even think of doing.
Ronaldo to deliver. At pace, all the way through and in. I think he'll claim that. Cristiano Ronaldo's first goal for United.
We have that battle the last 15 years, which is good. He pushed me and I push him as well. So it's good to be part of history of football.
In my high school, there were a bunch of pussies on the soccer team. They would slack off on conditioning because it was too boring. They would call me and others who wanted to push themselves a tryhard. Like, you're too much, man. You need to take it easier. Give it a rest already. Why are you trying so hard? Now, I was never one to talk back during that time because even though I was physically better than them, they were better than me in the game, so I never had any leverage. But someone who I'd argue was the best player there, someone who, I ain't gonna lie, I looked up to, would always respond with,
nah, you keep up.
and that always resonated with me. Like, why the fuck should I lower my standards for your sake so you don't look bad in front of the coaches by comparison when you're the one who needs to keep up? The ghost didn't become the ghost by bitching and moaning about doing some conditioning. Sure, it ain't fun unless you're a masochist, but if that's what gets you from point A to point B, from nothing into something, then you fucking do it. Ronaldo is 36, 16 years older than me, but he's a menace when it comes to working out. And according to medical science, he has the body of a 20-year-old. I'm 20 years old. What the fuck am I doing with my life? I don't want to become someone who never reached their full potential. There was a point in time when I gave up on my dreams because I didn't think I was capable enough or it didn't seem realistic. But even then, during that time, I knew I couldn't completely let go of them and worked on them just as a hobby because of how fun it was for me and how it made me feel alive. In a sense, I went back to an older version of myself, back to a time where I wanted to accomplish my dreams more than anything else and use that as a blueprint to build upon. I don't want other people to give up on their dreams because of themselves or their circumstances like I did. I tried to convince myself to be okay with less because I should be grateful for how far I've come, which I am, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to stop there. People have said to me what I'm trying to do isn't realistic enough or achievable to them. And I can make a whole nother video about this topic, but there's this little voice inside of me, this gut feeling telling me to go for more regardless of what they say. I want more so I can give more. I recognize that there's a lot of opportunity around me that isn't available for other people. And I want to be in a position where I can give them those options. I want to become someone who can tell them that they can bloom. And because of that, I've learned to mold my ego to be used as a tool. As a tool to push me further, I see myself as a learner, someone who can get better, someone who has the desire to grow as much as one can. When ego is used in this way, it no longer becomes an obstacle for the individual, but rather an instrument that can push them further. One that questions and nudges a person's belief in a way that elevates. When ego is used in this way, it becomes a motivator. It becomes a person's identity when you're a learner. You won't arbitrarily hold on to a belief like those ego lifters you see at the gym that won't fully do the range of motion of an exercise because they can lift more with a shitty fucking form. Your new ego will push yourself to prove yourself wrong at any opportunity because the goal is to grow, to assimilate new information to continue forward in life. You won't be holding yourself back anymore, which is what I did. To me, ego is outdoing myself and those who are on the same path. Ego is tied to greed. I want something more than the next motherfucker. And for the sake of winning, I'll destroy myself and rewrite my common sense because I enjoy surpassing other people. There's like this developmental timeline we're all on, and I see them as checkpoints on that line. So beating them is like beating myself. It gives me the strength to fight on my own because there's always someone better than me. You still need your ego to have a sense of desire. And surrounding your ego by being a learner is the best compromise to achieve that. Because I'm still hungry and have this raging desire to be the best at whatever it is I want. But I'm humbled by the fact that I'm always the learner. Meaning that I accept that there's always going to be someone better than me. But at the same time, I can always get better and smarter myself. I accept that I'll make mistakes and I'll own up to them because if I don't, then life will have her way with me. It's like being a musician. You practice for perfection. You know you'll never 100% truly get there, but that ain't gonna stop you from chasing it and attempting to perfect it. There's a balance to it, and I have the arrogance of belief that I found it for myself. There's no point in a dream if it doesn't come true, and I'm gonna make mine a reality. Or at least try my best. Because a goal of mine is to change the world. But if nothing goes the way I want, then I'll change myself. I want to win, and I'm going to.
That's my new ego.